And we're live. Dude, that's a lot. Did you say 120,000 viewers?
It was 140. It was a lot.
So is an ad worth like $2,800-ish? Am I even close? Maybe don't say. But good God, I hope that you bought a house that day.
That's what I'm sitting in now. It was a lot. It was not an insurmountable amount of money. It was like, after it happened and I got paid, my wife and I had been saving for a house for a little while, and I literally looked at the Twitch revenue thing as the ad revenue goes on like 2 days later, and I was like, done, we're moving, and then just moved house. Then we brought a house.
That's awesome, man.
Dude, I'm so happy. I did that, but it was a dancing competition.
yeah. It was crazy. And heaps of people like that did get that as well. Like there's some, like, even smaller streamers, some of them that have like we're running like 100 viewers. We're running like 30,000 viewers, and that's still a fuckload of money. Like if you stream for 20, you stream for 25 hours and run that many ads, it's so much fucking money. That's really cool. I'm happy that you got that. That's great. I mean, I'm glad you bought a house instead of like a $4,000 pair of jeans and a Italian sports car. Oh, I already have a Mercedes, so I don't need it.
Oh, I thought you were about to be bragging about expensive jeans.
Nah,
already got the expensive jeans.
Yeah. Nah, I've been saving for ages when I first started streaming, because I always wanted one of those C-Class Mercedes, so I had shitloads of money put away for it. And then my car lease ran out of my other car, and I went and traded it in. And I was like, hang on, like I've got a lease on this fucking shitty truck, and I'd finished paying it. And then this guy's like, well, if you trade in the truck and then you just lease the rest of the cost of this Mercedes, it'll cost you the same as the lease for the truck was. And I'm like, why aren't I driving a Mercedes? Like, it was the same fucking cost. I was already paying that. So I went and brought one. I was like, got my dream car.
I only processed about half of that in real time. But if it came from a car salesman, I don't trust it.
Well, no. He wasn't 100% right. It was a little bit more expensive, but it wasn't fuckloads more expensive. It was like, it ended up being like $100 a month more expensive or something, because I had money to put towards it and stuff like that.
Don't let my manager hear about this deal. I could lose my job.
The wheels.
Jesus, thanks for sticking your neck out for me.
She's been the guy that I took it for a test drive, and the guy that was the owner, he's like, oh, we don't actually have any of those in stock. We'll have to send one from Germany or whatever. But I drive one, and I'm like, can I take yours for a test drive? And this cunt was shitting himself in the passenger seat. I just fucking flogged the shit out of his car. Like power sliding around corners at like 80 miles an hour. And this guy's like, fucking hell, man. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I mean, I wouldn't be pleased if I was so.
Yeah. He had like a baby seat in the back and shit. And then
that's his loss. What an idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
How long have you been streaming full time?
It'll be 2 years in January. It will be. Although I sort of like, when I went full time, I had 2 months of I don't know if Americans get this, but we get something called long service leave in Australia. So if you work at a job, or most jobs, you work there for 10 years, and then they give you 3 months of paid leave, and you can take it at like a week at a time, or like 3 months at a time. And so I got to December 2 years ago, and I was like, I'm going to take 2 months off. And then I took 2 months off, and then like probably like the 15th of January, I just got up and like, I think like Tarkov just started to explode. Shroud was playing it. I got hosted by Shroud. I had like fucking thousands of subs, and I called them up and I'm like, yeah, I'm not coming back. And they were just like, oh, okay. All right.
What were you doing before you started streaming full time?
I did software engineering. So I worked for the federal government. I did data analytics stuff, similar to what you do, Woody. What you did, I think.
So I built Cisco. You know the networking company. I'm sure you do.
Oh yeah, no, that's right.
I did all their e-commerce. Well, not all. I didn't single-handedly do it, but I worked on their e-commerce stuff online. That's where the money came in from, and order status and whatever. So what did you do? Like big data type stuff? For the government. So
I worked for a few different programs and stuff like that. around the place, but it was essentially like big data analytics and like data visualization. So it'd take like billions of records and then do data analytics on them, and then basically present them as a green or a red light for some moron with 8 IQ and a fucking 7-figure paycheck to go, "Ooh, it's all good."
I have 2 friends that do that. And you got paid. Oh, I don't want to dox them, but they do so well.
It's like they just like the government in Australia just doesn't value like any IT skills. So I couldn't move past that point unless I wanted to be a manager, just flicking emails backwards and forth. And I didn't want to do that. I enjoyed the actual coding. So I was just sort of at a point where I was like, I wasn't stuck. Like I was earning good money. I was earning like 100 grand a year, but it was just sort of like, that's it. And it's like, I'm gonna do better than this. Like I know I can do better. I can spend my time. Like I was just bored because it was easy. Like
what text did you use? What'd you code in?
So we did a lot of SAS, Teradata, like Teradata SQL, and then the visualization stuff I did with JavaScript in D3 because it was sort of made stuff like fancy little bubbles you can click on and stuff like that.
And this was 2 years ago?
Yeah. 2 years ago would have been the last time I coded. Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't coded in ages, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't coded in more ages, but yeah.
Yeah.
But you must have said you did that for 10 years in order to earn that leave?
Well, I was like, I started out there as data entry, and then I sort of just one day was talking to a guy about coding, and then I was like, oh, I can code a little bit. And he's like, oh, okay, come and work for us then. And then I moved so I was like, I think it was like 20 different jobs just inside the federal government, but just moving around different teams pretty much.
Does your tech background help you now at all? Sorry, I thought that I didn't. There was more.
Yeah.
Right?
Some of it. The audio visual stuff is just like, fuck. Like, I don't know. Like, I hate audio. Audio can lick my nuts.
Dude, can I interrupt with a little audio story? So, you were there the other night. There was a buzz, especially when I was talking. So there was a noise gate on OBS, which made it only buzz when I talked. But the buzz was there all the time. It was just getting cut off when I was being silent. Cool. I think the buzz is electrical interference on my new computer. I don't know why there's more electrical interference than there used to be. It doesn't make any sense to me. The chat says I have to buy a ground loop isolator, which instantly made sense to me because Willers needed that, and that solved his problem. So I was like, all right. On Amazon, I instantly order it. The next day, I go out and I go to 2 different guitar stores and a Best Buy, and I can't find one in real life. So I'm stuck. What I do is I grab this USB mic that I have as like a travel mic for, on rare occasions, I do PKA around on the road, and I have this mic. It's USB, it's not buzzing, cool. But I like my other mic more. The ground loop isolator comes in, it got worse somehow. I haven't solved the problem, that's why I'm still on this mic. I think it's okay, but audio can lick my nuts too. That's where all that is headed. Yeah, and people think because like you used to code in Java, why can't you fix your mic? It's not a relevant skill set. It's not.
The amount of times that I've had my mum just be like, "Can you fix my laptop?" I'm just giving up. I'm just like, "No, buy a new one." Like, I'm not coming here to fix your 7-year-old Chromebook. It's like it's fucked because you watch it in bed and it's the hard drive's fucking fried in it.
They got some printer from the attic with like a parallel port, adapter in the back, and you're like, "What is this?" Piece of history.
Yeah, it's always the same. When you work in computers, people just think you're like, you know, some kind of magic, but it's really not that hard. It's just that no one ever bothers to learn it. Because like I did this like all the time when I was working there. I'd be like, oh, you can do this, and do this, and do this, and then be like, so you know how to do it, and then they're just like, be some old fucking like 50-year-old woman, some Linda that's just like, oh, that's all right. Next time I'll just ask you. And it's like, no, you fucking won't, bitch. What happened to you next time? I'm like,
now I'm going to teach you how to block a phone number.
Computer programming isn't what people think it is. Like what people think computer programming is,
like Swordfish.
I've seen the Matrix.
is taking like, I don't know, something that they want built and like changing that into code, like it's a different language. What computer programming actually is, like the hard part of it, is answering all the questions that weren't given to you, right? Using your own either subject matter expertise or just intuition. because they say, all right, I want an order status screen. You know what that looks like. You've all seen them before. There's a million unanswered questions in every coding project that you're answering yourself. And that's what computer programming really is, according to me.
But they don't really people don't really think about the complications of like what they're asking for most of the time. So it's like if you ask someone, can you build me an animal that can eat grass and survive? And it's like, okay, well, does it have blood? Like, what has it oxygenate? Like, does it breathe oxygen? What enzymes does it get from the grass? Like, there's a trillion questions that go along with that. And you don't get that with your program. They're just like, you're a wizard, aren't you? Just make it. Like,
I could tell you it has hooves, and you're like, so just one hoof like a horse, or does it have like 2 toes on its hooves? What's in the middle of it? How does that transition from the leg to the hoof work? Like, there's so many unanswered questions in every business spec that's what coding really is, answering all those questions and thinking of all the corner cases.
And then, dealing with the trillions of edge cases that dumbass motherfuckers are going to plow into it to destroy it. And it's like, I didn't count for this one edge case because it's just like so infinitesimally rare that some idiot's going to do this, and then some idiot does it in the first 10 seconds. Like, fucking why? Like,
and then did you have much public facing stuff with security issues?
No, all of mine was internal. So I sort of got lucky. I don't know much about security. Like, I've got friends that I've talked to about it before, but I'll be honest, like, very, very little security stuff is,
So most of my stuff was public facing, and my God, like the tricks that people can put in. Heaven forbid I take text from you and put it back on to show you what you wrote. That is so much harder than it sounds, right? Because all of a sudden the text you're giving me is like JavaScript that opens JSON connections. It's reading from my database, and it's like, what the? Wait a minute. So I have to sanitize everything you write, so you can't put pictures of Barney on my website that I didn't want. And it's anyway, public facing stuff.
Man, I wish I understood anything.
I don't know if this is good content, but
there's like 9 guys out there like. Yes.
Yep. Yes. Okay, I'll change it.
Thank you. Yes. Oh my God! Listen to this podcast for 10 years. Finally, something good.
Patel, get in here. You gotta hear this podcast.
Okay, we'll stop.
He is totally right about the security requests from America. They are totally unreasonable a high percentage of the time.
It's funny though. Like when I was working with the government, I found fucking, well, actually, I won't say it, but I found flaws in their system, and I was like, you need to fix this. This is bad. And they're just like, I just don't care. Fuck it. It's like, it's all good.